Hey there, this is Pat Ennis of Ennis Legacy Partners. Welcome to the Exit Readiness Podcast. I'm here with business partner Corby McGordon. Our mission here on the podcast is to provide you, the business owner, with subject matter expertise on topics pertaining to building transferable or sellable business value, and then for planning your eventual exit from the business. We want to help you build a business that's transferable and then help you exit successfully on your own terms and conditions. AI, artificial intelligence, is transforming everything, including how business owners approach both building the value of their business, growing it, and also exiting the business. And key considerations and questions could include: how can AI enhance my business valuation over time and make my business more attractive to potential buyers? Where does AI fit into succession and exit planning, and what are the limitations? When will you, the business owner, still need experts like Ennis Legacy Partners and our guests today to help you with exit planning? Where does AI begin? Where does it lead off? What role does it play? Does it pose any risk, AI? Does it pose any risk in exit planning? How will it disrupt a business, particular industries, and should this influence exit timing? That's just a few questions, of course. There are many more, but we've got about 30 minutes today, and we're going to try to tackle some of these questions. And and so today we're continuing our new podcast series, AI and Exit Planning, with a goal of addressing questions like this with our guest over time. And so our topic today is initial thoughts about AI and exit planning. And we have with us a regular guest on the podcast, John Dini, the president of MPN Incorporated. John's a friend. He's someone that we highly regard in the industry. It's his fourth time with us. He's a thought leader in our space. He's been doing it for a very long time. And so naturally, he's given much thought to how AI is going to impact exit planning. He's an exit planner himself. He's an author. He's a speaker. He's worked with over 500 business owners throughout his career, which now spans decades. Helping business owners is his passion, and that'll come through in the next 30 minutes or so. But now, as well as business owners, he also invests much of his time, maybe most of it, developing products and services and platforms, technology for advisors like us under his ExitMap brand. Our firm subscribes to John's ExitMap platform. And so we love having him with us. He's always the perfect person to join us in a conversation like this. John, welcome back. Great to have you with us to talk about this very important topic of AI and exit planning. Really, I don't know that there's anyone in our space who's given more thought to this than you have, which is not unusual. So welcome back. Good to have you with us. I know Corby's got the first question for you, but
Thanks,
good
Pat.
to have you
Thanks.
with us again.
And hi, Corby. How you doing?
It's a joy to see you as always, my friend. So we're all aware, when the media's the threat of AI, right? But when we talk business owners and value, will AI negatively affect value and valuations? Will it positively affect? Just how do you think about that as you're going about working with owners?
Well, everybody's trying to integrate AI. At least I hope they are. A business owner who is still saying that's not for me is probably going to regret it. The question is where and how. Right now, a bunch of us are using it for, redrafting emails, writing social media copy, the simple stuff. But, what thought work, mental work can it replace? And right now it's a glorified search engine, but the technical parts of it, the things that it can take and form and give back to you in a way that you wouldn't have thought of are critical. There's an article I read recently that was very interesting because there's two sides to this. So the article said the companies that are doing better with AI, that are seeing cost savings, that are seeing innovation, are introducing AI at the lowest level of the company. You know, it's the workers, it's the daily operations people that are getting the benefit from it. They say, this article said that part of the problem is, many firms, especially service firms, buy an AI subscription and give it to the top two, three, five, whatever people in the company to use, and that's not where it spreads. Can't drive it down and say, I figured out this thing on AI. All you people do it now. you know. But on the other hand, and it's like every other thing in business. I can, read an article that says it's going to be this way, and I can read an article that says, oh no, it's not going to be that way at all. There's another article that says those people in the lower ranks are the ones most threatened by AI. They're the ones whose functions can be replaced the easiest by AI. So, what is their motivation to be using it? You're not going to have employees come to you and say, "Hey, boss, I just figured out how I can be replaced." Here, I wrote this prompt. I can go home now and look for another job.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, that thought came to mind as you were talking. It's a very real conundrum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, how are you, as you're interacting with owners, how are you seeing them actually address that problem? Because they're my people.
Yeah,
And
well, and let me just add something to that. There's that aspect, but then too, it's not real easy for a lot of the owners that we work with, and you may find this to be true too, John, to find good people at the lower levels who are going to be reliable, dependable. And when they do, and they have the core values of the company, and they also they're competent, they show up to work, and they do their work, they they want to keep them, they don't want to lose them. And so there can be that fear of, gosh, yeah, I don't want to scare them off with trying to implement AI at their level. So there's a lot of mixed
Yeah,
emotions and motivations here, it seems.
I understand, and it's a very real issue, Pat. But you know that comes down to your culture. I've you know Sarah, my assistant, my executive assistant, just celebrated her 18th anniversary with me.
Yeah, who's
She has,
fantastic, by the way. I
yeah,
mean, everybody
she
in
is.
this
She's
team
very
is
good.
incredible.
Yeah, but she has seen me. I wrote a memo over the weekend saying, I want us to start working on this in the exit map. And I came in Monday morning. She says, "Oh, we're pivoting again, huh?" Uh, you know, that's her favorite thing. Oh, are we doing another pivot? Are we doing another pivot? Some of them could be threatening to her, uh, but she has faith, and it didn't take 18 years to build, but she has faith that when I say you'll be okay, this may make our jobs better. This may eliminate some of what you're doing, but you're talented, you show up, you're dependable, you're loyal, all those things that you just enumerated. And I can't afford to lose somebody like that. So if we do eliminate some of your duties, we will find other duties. I absolutely guarantee it. Yeah.
there's an implication there that the people that are going to successfully implement AI also have a forward-looking mindset and a growth mindset. Um, so, just how should an owner think about investing in AI in kind of this non-tangible idea that isn't fully developed?
I think ask AI. and that's not being facetious at all. We have a thing that has been on our to-do list for quite some time in ExitMap, which is, can we do a 5-minute video that would be a super high-speed tutorial on all our exercises and tools? Just walk you right through them. This one does this. This one does this. This one does this. And it's thinking in it's not so much thinking out of the box as it is telling AI to think out of the box. So, like most people, we started out looking for an AI video creation program. Okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to script it? How are we going to put it together? What are we going to tell it to do for scenes, right? Then a couple of weeks ago, I had that typical blinding flash of the obvious, and I went into a different AI program, not the one we're playing with to try and learn, and I said, here is our playbook. You guys know our step-by-step playbook where we outline every exercise and tool and how to use it. Please read this and create a script that I can feed to a video AI program with all the scenes, all the dialogue, all the types of music that should go in the background, and what the series would be. That would be an instructive video for everything that we talk about in this 40-page document. 5 minutes later, I had 10 pages of copy.
Mm-hmm.
Give this to the video AI program.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, how do I word this? You know what? Let me find something. I have a client who is a retailer who is actually savvier than I am on AI. He's also younger than I am. But okay, here it is. He wants to think of ways he can expand beyond this. First prompt: act as a strategy advisor to me as the CEO of this company. Think through the next 1, 5, and 10-year timeframes with a guiding perspective, intentionally reshaping our company into a business built to grow in the future. What pivots, there's that term again, are necessary to move into an AI-enabled future in our field? And then come up with a list of focused ideas to drive the business forward. Consider not only how to improve the core business for alignment with the future, but how the brand itself can grow into new opportunities. The deliverable should be a sustainable profit plan for the next 10 years that sets the business up for the 10 years after that. Then the second follow-up prompt was, this is a great start. And he got pages and pages and pages. Let me see. It's I'll open up the response. 8 pages on the initial response. Great start. I really like the idea of the brand representing best in class for these kind of services. What about expanding on this and adding other services? What will we be adding next? We already offer this kind of service. How we would leverage that? I mean, you get in a conversation with it. The what we were doing a year ago or 2 years ago, or what I do so frequently is, what's the one I put in the other day? I'm working with a florist shop. Using all the databases that you have access to, what multiples do you see for florist shops, and what factors do you see that make them worth more or less? I got 3 pages of stuff. I mean, you get into the habit. And it depends. Now, we mentioned Sarah. I showed Sarah, a couple months back, how to use ChatGPT. She was like, "Oh, AI, I don't know what that is," and blah, 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 blah. So I put it on her computer. I sat down. I said, "Look at this," and it was something she liked. Okay, she's a big fan of the entertainment industry. I mean, she can tell you who's married to whom and who used to be married to whom, and I have no clue who half these people are, right? So I started there with something she liked. You know, oh, well, let's see, who did Taylor Swift date before she dated Travis Kelce, right? Because she's always kidding about the only reason she's going out with Travis Kelce is because when she breaks up, she's got her next album. That's it. So, we put it in, and it gave this whole list of who, how long it lasted, what broke it up, what song she wrote about it, all this stuff. I walked in the other day. She's doing some research on a new financial planning group that we're working with, and she's researching who's in the group, what their qualifications are, what their contact information is, and she's doing it all in chat. You know, I didn't tell her to do that. She just realized that her job could be made a lot easier and she could get a lot more done.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's the presenting question for us as exit planners, as professional counselors, consultants, advisors, coaches. We as you know, we love to be transparent and honest with business owners about everything here. So honestly, transparently, they could go and have a conversation with AI as long as and just start asking questions. They're a business owner. What do I need from all levels in order to plan my exit? And then if they, at all skilled in some prompts, they'll get a strategy in 30 seconds or 1 minute. And we've all done it. I mean, I've done it. And what comes out is, yeah, okay, that's a good solid framework. If they start going down that road and they get at least half of it done, they're going to be well on their way. There may be a couple of things in there that I would change, a few things on first looking at it, but as we got into it, maybe some more. But where are we as professional exit planners going to continue to add value? Let's talk about that.
It's nuance. It's nuance. I'm sorry. I just I read a line yesterday. They were talking about how the Chinese have advanced in humanoid robots. you know, and they say they have humanoid robots now that can dance, that can quickbox, that can kickbox rather, that can do all these fantastic things. Nobody has one that can walk into a stranger's kitchen and make a cup of coffee. It's the same thing. AI can't read body language. AI can't talk through a concern. AI can't look at 5 or 6 or 8 key employees, all of whom have different objectives, all of whom have different reasons that they want what they want from the company or what that they want in a transaction. AI can't sit down with the children that are inside and outside the business and talk to them about their relationships with each other, their relationships with the business, their belief systems. I mean, there are so many things. We can walk into a stranger's kitchen and make a cup of coffee, and they're so far away from being able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had, just like you have, I know you have, through the years, been told by business owners that the value that they find that we add that they didn't expect was just helping them to move forward, helping them to move forward through the procrastination. And the procrastination, which is often due to emotional stuff that they didn't expect either. They didn't expect after owning, well, not to the level that they experience in it anyway, that after even 5 years, let alone 15, 20, or 30 years of owning a business and thinking about exiting it and leaving it and leaving somewhat of their identity behind, if you will. But all of the different emotional scenarios, it results in procrastination a lot of time. They could get the data, the knowledge, historically through books and other sources, uh, but they they just get bogged down with the emotions, and that's where I see where we and I guess that's what you're referring to there, John, is really help continue to add values to help them move forward through whatever procrastination and the reasons of it.
Sure, the emotion of it. I mean, I can go to AI right now and say, help me stay on track with this plan. I can even feed it the plan
Right.
and say, here's the plan. Help me
Uh-huh.
stay on track with this. And the AI's response is going to be, when would you like me to send you reminders? That's not it. you know,
Well,
that's not keeping me on track.
yeah, and in a recent episode, which is going to be, I think, a podcast episode that we did with
Right.
Dr. Elizabeth Carr, who's also a regular guest with us. I think it's going to be published next week or this week. Uh, she was talking about, we were talking to her about just counseling, and she brought up, I think it was a Harvard Business Review study, and just from her own experience, that AI will tell you how great you're doing and how wonderful you are,
Yeah.
but won't challenge you as
Yeah.
to how you're really about to screw this up.
Yeah. You ever see Demolition Man? The Sylvester
Maybe
Stallone movie
a long time ago,
with Wesley
probably.
Snipes, where they have kiosks in the park where you can just go in and they'll tell you how swell you look today and what a great life you're leading. Yeah.
Right.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, uh, believe it or not, and for those of us that are boomers or Xers, um, something like a quarter of Gen Zs are saying that they'd be just as happy with an AI companion as a human.
Yeah, well, that's
Uh,
what she was talking about. Actually,
yeah,
is young people, in particular,
yeah,
teenagers and young people who. What was the stat, Corby? Do you remember? 72% had an AI companion or something like that. 72% who
yeah.
were
It's
polled
astonishing.
and surveyed.
By the way, I was going to give you a plug, and I'm looking for the name, and I can't find it. The publication, the one you put out last week, was it Nick?
Yeah,
The
right.
guy, yeah, that was a great. Every what was the last name?
Damalakis.
Damalakis.
Yeah.
And everybody, if anybody's listening to this and they haven't seen that one, they need to go look at that one.
Well, yeah. So he was the
Uh,
first. He was the first in this series, this AI and
and he
exit
should have been, because
service.
his
Uh,
teaching on just how to use it and how to go about it was really terrific. I enjoyed it a
well,
lot.
it's interesting how that worked out because you were actually the first, but because of internet connections,
Yeah.
and Nick was scheduled to be the second one, but it got flip flop. But yeah, no, he's brilliant when it comes to it, to AI, and yes, we would encourage listeners to go back and listen to Nick as well. Uh, okay, Corby, what was your next question? I thought I
Yeah,
probably interrupted you, per usual.
just as you were talking earlier, even about how Sarah's adopting things, and the thought came to mind, just this whole idea of value acceleration. And there's an element of innovation, the entrepreneurial spirit, all that stuff that plays into value acceleration. Does you know how's AI going to actually perhaps even differentiate those who are more innovative by nature versus somebody who is pretty much, let's just keep grinding the way we've always done it?
Well, the ones that keep grinding don't ask. You know, um, that's the issue. We talk about when we're training people in behavioral interviewing. Uh, we talk about the high C's on the DISC scale, which are not on the people who own companies but are not entrepreneurial, and that were raised in an environment of uh, I'm sorry, typically second generation owners who were raised in an environment of don't screw this up. I built it. I built it right. Don't change anything. This has fed our family for 30 years, you know, and they will not do well with AI. They will be in big trouble because, if you've seen them in real life situations, they lose a major customer, they lose a key employee, and they're deer in the headlights because, and there's lots of behavioral studies about this, because their planned solution is to try and get everything back to the way it was. And that's not how you build a business. So the creative people like the one I read you before that he's writing up. I mean, this is a $50 million company. They have 7 stores of 80, 90. I think one's 140,000 square feet. But what did he do before he took over for dad? He was a drummer. He's a musician. He doesn't look at it as I was raising this company, it's got to be the same way. He wants to know what he can do that's different.
Yeah. Because what came to mind actually is the E-myth. Just that you got to work on the business and not in the business. And what I hear you saying is that those that have a natural ilk to work on it, or see it as an opportunity to actually start working on it, there's nothing really new. It's a new tool to help you do what an entrepreneur should always be doing.
But it does, at least from my perspective, where and I don't use it to do vibe coding or anything. I have no clue how to go about that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it's seminal research, first level research. It reads everything.
Yep.
It sees everything. I can put a question in, and as I did again with ExitMap. Okay, ExitMap is software as a service, right?
Yep.
And when I first formed my advisory board, they were asking me questions I couldn't answer. I've never been in the software business. I didn't know what CAC was. I didn't know what TMA was, TAM. I didn't know how to calculate churn rates, but I didn't put into AI, how do I calculate a churn rate? I put into AI, what are all the best practice KPIs for a SaaS company?
Mm-hmm.
And it started, and how do you calculate them? I included that too. It comes right out because it reads all the literature. It knows everything. So it's a glorified search engine, but remember, a search engine will only point you to where the information exists.
Exactly.
AI will give you the information. AI is built to give you answers.
Yep.
That's true. It's a consensus of all that information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whereas with Google, with the Google search, it provides the list of the sources.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so you might have more confidence in one source over another in regard to, what you can expect from that source. You know the source, you trust the source, you have confidence in the source, even their values, if there's a values kind of component to it.
Well, and even, you mentioned Google, and that's a really good point, Pat, because Google's search business, Yahoo's search business, the others, even Edge, is declining rapidly. I mean, they're having trouble holding their advertising rates. Google has already thrown in the towel because if you put a term into Google, you got to be careful with Google now, because if you put it in a term one way, it will do, Chrome goes to work and gives you the sites. If you phrase it another way, you see Copilot come up, and Copilot gives you the answers. Because Google realizes already that search is losing out to AI.
Which makes sense.
Okay, so let's talk in the last number of minutes. Let's talk about what you're seeing in regard to M&A and deals being done, and any hesitancy from CEOs to do deals because they lack clarity as to, all right, you got to, if I'm going to buy this company, before I stroke a check for this company that your BD people are bringing to me as a candidate to acquire, I need to know what their AI strategy is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
What should it be, and what's it going to be before I stroke a check? And I just wonder if things have slowed down on an M&A perspective. Well, I think it has in some areas, uh, in certain industries, and what your experience has been so far with any of that.
Well, one of the things that I counsel any business owner that's considering a third party transition is you better be prepared for the fact that every person you talk to that's interested in your business may know a lot more about it than you do.
Mm-hmm.
Go do your research. Go do, do you understand where your profitability fits in the industry? Do you understand what your staff turnover looks like in your industry? I mean, it's if the internet was the key to the world encyclopedia, I it's several orders of magnitude up to AI being the key to like all the knowledge on the planet. It's really, go research your own business, figure out where you stand, and then you can ask it. You know, don't try and confine yourself. Again, like I said, asking it what questions to ask is a very useful pastime. Um, you know, what questions should I ask about my industry? What questions could you tell me, or what facts could you tell me about transactions in my industry? Not only valuation. And I just had somebody the other day that said, well, I don't know what my value is. I said, you've got ChatGPT. I know it. I've seen you use it. Go ask ChatGPT what the valuation is. You can get broad strokes. You can't get, but my company has intellectual property. My company has recurring revenue. My company that'll help, but Chat can't answer all those specific questions for you. Not yet, anyway. But and some of it's really funny. Some of it that you would like it to do. What did I have the other day? Oh, I know what I did. I took an article of mine and I wanted to do a webinar. And I put the article in and I said, give me a slide deck of the key points for this article. So it pumps out the slide deck in 38 seconds or something, right? And then it says, would you like this to be illustrated with pictures? And I said, yeah, that would be terrific. And it says pictures that are royalty free. And I said,
Right.
yeah, that would be terrific. And it goes and goes and goes. And it gives me the same outline it gave me on the previous iteration. I said, well, wait a minute. Where are the pictures? And it said, don't be silly. I'm not allowed to put pictures in. And it said, but I can give you the links where you can go get those pictures. I said, fine, let's do that. Third iteration, same outline. I said, where are the links? It said, I'm not allowed to give you links to external sites.
But you're doing a great job, and you're wonderful.
Yeah. But have a happy joy day. Yeah.
All right. In the last minute or two, what else has been on your mind that we haven't talked about in regard to this, John?
That's the question that I'm wrestling with. How do I pose questions to AI that'll tell me the questions I'm not asking? I've always hated that on business assessments and stuff. You guys know I was a franchisee for the Alternative Board for a long time and coached business owners. And they had an assessment out at one point. One of the questions on it was, what process do you have to identify the things you haven't thought of? And it's like, huh? I hated that question. You know, things you have thought of when I was brokering. I tell people every buyer thinks they're smarter than every seller. That's part of the transaction, right? Because nobody's buying the company to do exactly what it was doing. Everybody's buying a company because they think they can make it better, right? And as a broker, you have to go to buyers and say, well, here are some things that you could do with the company to make it better. You know, I used to ask the owner. They were my best source. I would sit down with them and I'd say, if you were buying your company, what would you do to make it better? Every single time, it's never failed that they have a whole list of ideas that they could have done that they haven't. Right? I could have new territory, new product, to hire new people. They know. And I used to just take what they said and give it to the buyers and say, you could do all these things with this company. you know, I was brilliant. Now you can do it with AI. It's the same type of thing, but I still haven't figured out how to ask the question I haven't thought to ask yet.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, John, as always, great to have you with us.
It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to promote today? You about ready to publish another book?
No.
Okay.
I did the third one and fourth one back to back, and they kind of burned me out for a while. I don't think I'm doing any. So it's just, if your podcast is mine, as is oriented to advisors. Yours is much more oriented to business owners.
True, but we do have advisors
Oh,
listening.
sure you do. Yeah.
So, mention
But
please promote your podcast because
it's the ExitMap podcast. And it's hosted by the Exit Planning Coach, which I have a registration on. I am the Exit Planning Coach, for what that is worth. But don't move forward without a plan. And that goes for the advisors too. So many of them are, the shoemaker's kids that have no shoes. If you read, because of the field we're in, I read a lot of the financial advisor daily publications, financial planning, wealth management, these, and transition of their practices is a huge issue. They too are aging. They too have a book of business that they personally have a lot vested in, and relationships that they personally have a lot vested in that they don't know how to transition. They need a plan too. Go find an exit planner. Because those of us that are certified, both of you guys are, you have two of them between you. But all of us who are certified still only number 10 or 12,000 out of 250,000 financial advisors. The other 245,000 need an exit planner.
Yep. All right, good. That's good advice. Listeners, if you want help in any of this that we've talked about today, or anything having to do with maximizing the value of your business or planning that eventual exit, we know as a business owner, there are few things you can be 100% certain of, but one thing that you are or can be 100% certain of is you're going to exit at some point. Someone else is either going to own your business at some point, or it's not going to exist. And so if you need help, if you find yourself procrastinating, get in touch for an exploratory conversation. You can reach us through our website at ennislp.com. If you've benefited from today's episode, please consider liking it and sharing it on social media. We always appreciate that. Thank you for listening, as always. And until the next time on the Exit Readiness Podcast, this is Pat Ennis with Corby McGordon signing off.